Okay, so I'm going to be going over the 10 review questions I have ready for the exam 2, which is going to be done online. So let's go through these 10 questions real quickly. So we started off with slope when we went over the second part of our content. So this question is specifically saying, just ignore this for now. This question just asks find the slope of the line with these pair of points. So you have 1, 8, and 6, 9. So remember when you're doing slope, you assign x1 and y1 to one pair, and you assign x2 and y2 to another pair because we're trying to use the slope formula to figure out what slope is. So just make either of these x1, y1, and then make the one you didn't pick x2, y2. So this will be, we'll just say this is x1, this is y1, x2, y2. Okay? So we can just assign it like that. And now we just have to plug it into this formula right here. So y2 will be 9. y1 will be 8, x2 will be 6, x1 will be 1. So we plug it in right here, so 9 minus 8 on top. So y2 minus y1, so 9 minus 8 over x2 minus x1, so 6 minus 1. So 9 minus 8 is 1, 6 minus 1 is 5. So your answer is 1 divided by 5 or 1 over 5. So it's just a fraction. Okay, so that'd be your final answer on number 1. Number 2, find the slope of the line with the given equation. So remember, if your equation is x equals 9, remember that's like one of those special equations. So remember if it's x equals something or y equals something, the way that line will look is it's just going to be a straight line going in a certain direction. So for x equals 9, it's going to be a straight vertical line going through the x-axis. So a vertical line looks like that. So this is like an example symbol to show you. So at the x value of 9, you're going to have a vertical line going up and down. And the slope of the line that's vertical, we said is undefined. Now, if the line was horizontal instead of vertical, like say the line was going horizontal like that, the slope of this line would be 0. But the slope for the vertical line is undefined. So remember, you just have to memorize those two slopes for the special lines. So like y equals 9, slope would be 0. X equals 9, slope was undefined. Okay. Okay. So number 3. We have x to the third power, and then outside the parentheses, it's to the 11th power. So remember, this is raising a power to a power. So we remember talking about this. If you raise a power to a power, the exponent rule says that you should multiply those two powers together. So x to the third raised to the 11th power is you're just going to do 3 times 11. So 3 times 11 is 33. So your answer will be x to the 33rd power. And then the caret symbol means you're raising something to a power. So I don't know a faster way to do this on Word. So, but this is just saying like x to the 33rd power. So your answer is x to the 33rd. Okay, so number 4. So it says simplify, do not use negative exponents in your answer. So remember, here we have two uh, variables being multiplied together. This one has a negative 5 exponent, this one has nothing on it. But remember, if this has, so the first one says y to the minus 5th power, and it's being multiplied to something with just y. Remember, if there's no exponent showing there, you're just assuming the exponent is 1. So this is actually y to the first. So you have y to the minus 5th times y to the first power. So remember, when you're multiplying two variables with this, two exponents with the same base, you can just add the exponents. So negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4. So your final answer is going to be y to the negative 4th power. Okay, so that'd be your final answer. Well, actually, my bad. So this is not your final answer. So it says do not use negative exponents in your answer. So my bad. So I don't know how to edit this out, but so when you're at y to the negative 4th, remember you have to actually convert the negative exponent. So remember, you don't want to leave a negative exponent in your answer, especially if it says not to use negative exponents. So remember, to get rid of the negative on your exponent, you have to flip uh, you have to flip it to the other side. So remember, this is like y to the negative fourth over 1 technically, because it's on top. Okay? Well, you're going to flip it to the bottom. So you're going to put this to the bottom. So what it's going to look like is you're going to have 1 divided by, and then you're going to have just y to the fourth. So when you put it to the bottom of the fraction, the negative sign goes away. So now you have 1 over y to the fourth, and now your answer is looking good. So this would actually be your final answer. Sorry. Sorry about that. Anyways, continuing. So number 5, convert to scientific notation. So we have 36 million here. So remember, to convert something to scientific notation, you start at the where the decimal point would be. So like say this is 36 million point 0 or something, for example. Well, the decimal point's right here, right? This is the end of the number. Okay, so what you do is you move this over until you make this a single digit number. So you're gonna move it, so let's start right here. So we're gonna move it over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we moved it over 7 digits to the left, and then what you do is you put a decimal right here. So we're going to put the decimal point here, and we're going to remember we moved it over 7 times. So now we put a caret here to show it's raising it to a power, or we're doing times 10 to the power of 7. So we moved the decimal point over 7 places. So now we do times 10 to the 7th to show that we moved it over 7 places. So now we've converted this big number, 36 million, to 3.6 times 10 to the 7th. And you don't necessarily need all these zeros. You can just get rid of these here. So because the extra zeros at the end after a decimal point are really unnecessary. I mean, it's not technically wrong, but you can just leave it as 3.6 and it's the same thing. So 3.6 times 10 to the 7th is the scientific notation of 36 million. Okay, so number 6, combine like terms. So you have 6x to the second plus 2x to the fourth minus 2x squared minus x to the fourth minus 4x squared plus x. Okay, so for this, you need to remember to match up like terms. So the first thing you should do when you look at this problem is find the like terms. So let me give you some shapes to work with here, if I can find them. Okay. Okay, so like terms here, we have 6x squared. So now let's find something else with x squared. So 6x squared. Now we have 2x squared. We have 4x squared, and that's it. So those are all the x squareds. Now let's look for other stuff. So we have 2x to the fourth. So I'll just use this to identify it as something different. So we have 2x to the fourth. Then what else do we have? Well, we also have x to the fourth, and then nothing else, right? And at the very end, we have an x. Okay? Oh, let me keep it under the terms. Okay. Okay, so we've identified all these similar terms, or the like terms. Now we just have to combine them. So 6x squared minus 2x squared minus 4x squared. So 6x squared minus 2x squared minus 4x squared. Okay? And then these will combine to give us, so 6 minus 2 is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. So we have 0x squared. So 0x squared is the same thing as just saying 0. So this is just 0. You don't really have to write it. What else did we have? We had 2x to the fourth minus x to the fourth. And that's it, right? So 2 minus 1, that's just 1. So 1x to the fourth. And that's it. So, and then lastly, we had an x that didn't pair with anything, so we just had x. So our end result is going to be 0 plus 1x to the fourth plus x. So you don't have to write 0, we can just not include it because it's just 0. So we have x to the fourth plus x. Okay, so that should be your final answer. Okay, moving on to number 7. So number 7 says subtract, so we were subtracting polynomials here. Okay, so this says 4a squared plus a minus 7 minus 3 minus 8a third minus 4a squared. Okay, so remember when you're subtracting polynomials, remember it's important to remember the minus sign right here. So the minus sign in the middle, like that's right outside this parentheses, this is going to change everything inside this parentheses right here. So we can rewrite this first part. So this is going to be the same, we're not changing this. So 4a squared plus a minus 7. But the second part, we're going to distribute this negative sign to each term in the parentheses. So we're going to put it on the 3, we're going to put it on the 8a to the third, and we're going to put it on the 4a squared. Okay? So we're going to change the positive 3 to a negative 3. We're going to change the minus 8a third to a plus 8a third. And we're going to change the minus 4a squared to a plus 4a squared. So we're just flipping the signs of everything within the parentheses because of this minus sign. Okay, so we flipped all the signs, and now we can just start combining like terms. Okay, so let's look for some like terms. So we have 4a squared here, and we have a 4a squared here, so we can combine these. So I'm going to underline them both. Okay. And I did that wrong. Apologies, I'm a little rusty with this. Okay, so we have two 4a squareds here. Okay, those go together. We also have an a, but there's no other a's here I can combine it with. We do have a minus 7, and we also have a minus 3 that can go together, so these can combine. Should have used 2 lines for that. You get the gist. So these go together, and then 8a to the third doesn't go with anything. So the end result here is we have 4a squared plus 4a squared, and then we have a by itself minus 7 minus 3, and then 8a to the third. Okay, so should be lowercase. Okay, so 4a squared plus 4a squared combines to make 8a squared. We have a by itself. Minus 7 minus 3 is minus 10. And then this is by itself. So if we combine all this, it's 8a squared plus a minus 10 plus 8a to the third. Now, obviously, you can write this in a better order than this. So you can write it with the most degrees to the least degrees. So if you came to class on the day we talked about this, you'd know what we're talking about. So 8a to the third could be the starting value plus a second plus a minus 10. So this would be the better way to write this. I'll accept this, but this is the more correct way to do it because it's in order of degrees. Okay. Now number 8, multiply. So we're multiplying two polynomials. So we didn't get a chance to talk about this in class because of Corona, but when you're multiplying two polynomials together, especially two binomials, the easiest way to multiply two binomials especially is to use the FOIL method. So hopefully you found out about how to do this when you looked at the material on your own. I'll talk about it right now though. So x plus 6 and then times x minus 6. Okay, so we have x plus 6 times x minus 6. Okay, so we're going to do the FOIL method. So um, we're going to do it in the FOIL method order for multiplying two binomials. So the method is you do first. So first means we're doing x times the x here. So the first value is in each parentheses. So x is the first one here. X is the first one here. So we're doing x times x for first. And then you do outside. So outside means you do this x, which is the most outside value here, times the minus 6 here. So these two are the most outside values. So that's why it's called outside. So x times minus 6. Then we do inside, which is the inside values here. So 6 right here and this x right here are both inside. So you do 6 times x. So I drew the line to show you that. And then last. So the last value is in both parentheses. So 6 is the last one here, minus 6 is the last one here. So 6 times minus 6, these are the last ones. So if you do the FOIL method, it just solves itself. So write out your work when you do this. So the first ones was x times x, x times x, and then the next one we had was outside, so x times minus 6. So we're going to do x times x plus x times minus 6 plus inside, which was 6 times x, so 6 times x. And then last was 6 times minus 6, which is minus 36. Okay, so now we have to solve this. So x times x is just x squared, because they're both x1, so x1 times x1 is x2. So that's x squared plus, uh, so x times minus 6 is just minus 6x. Yeah, so now you have minus 6x. So, okay, so now we do x times x1 times x1, which is x2. X times minus 6 is minus 6x plus 6 times x is 6x. So 6 times x is just 6x. And then minus 36 is just there. So now here you have x2 minus 6x plus 6x minus 36. Okay, so you're not done here. You have terms you can combine. So x2 minus 6x plus 6x. So these combine to make just 0x. So this is plus 0. Or you can just leave out the 0, which is fine. And then minus 36. Okay, and this would be your final answer. So x squared minus 36. Okay, so this one says multiply, so this says 2x minus 1 squared. Squared is outside the parentheses. So for this, so just understand that the power of 2 outside this parentheses just means that you're going to have 2 of them. So this is written just to be a more concise version of this. So remember, something squared, you're multiplying itself twice. So this is the same thing as 2x minus 1 times 2x minus 1. So it's just two binomials being multiplied, so you're going to do the same step as here. So you're going to FOIL again. So you're going to FOIL on this problem. So remember, we're going to do FOIL method again. So let's do this. So remember, first is right here. So 2x times 2x. Let me keep it in drawing mode. So and then outside is going to be the 2x right here and the minus 1 here. So this is outside. Now you have inside, which is minus 1 and the 2x, so it's right here. And then last would be minus 1 and the minus 1. Okay? So now if you have to show your work on this, first was 2x times 2x. Outside is 2x times minus 1. Inside is minus 1 times 2x. And then last was minus 1 times minus 1. So minus 1 times minus 1. Okay, so now we just have to solve this and show our work on this. So the first was 2x times 2x, so 2x times 2x is going to be 4, because you're doing 2 times 2, which is 4. And then x times x, which is going to give you x squared. So this is going to be 4x squared for the first term. Now we have 2x times minus 1. That's just minus 2x. Next term says minus 1 times 2x. That's just minus 2x again. And then the last one says minus 1 times minus 1. So minus times a minus is a plus, so it's just going to be plus 1 at the very end. So now we have to look for similar terms before we can say our final answer. So here, our only two like terms are minus 2x and minus 2x, so let's combine them. So we're going to have 4x squared minus 2x minus 2x, that gives us minus 4x, and then plus 1. And that's it. So this would be your final answer. Okay, and lastly, we have another FOIL problem, because there's just two binomials here, so we're going to FOIL again. So our problem says x to the second plus 3 times x to the third minus 1. Okay, so let's FOIL. So I'll draw it out again for you. So we're going to do first So that's first. These are the two first terms. Now we have to do outside. So x squared here and then the minus 1 here are outside. Inside is 3 times the x to the third. So we're going to do inside. And then last. So last is 3 times the minus 1. Okay? So now we just have to show our work for this. So we said first is x squared times x third. So x squared times x to the third. Now outside was x squared times minus 1. So x squared times minus 1. Inside is 3 times x to the third. So we're going to do plus 3 times x to the third. And then last was 3 times minus 1. So plus 3 times minus 1. Okay, so now we just have to show our work for this. So x to the second, I'll show the work here. So x to the second times x to the third. Okay, but they're both a base of x, so you can just add the exponents because you're multiplying. So 2 plus 3 gives you 5. So you're going to have x to the fifth plus x squared times minus 1. That's just going to be minus x squared. Now you have plus 3 times x to the third. So that's going to be just 3x to the third. And then the last one is 3 times minus 1. That's just minus 3. Okay, so now we just have to see if there's any like terms we can combine. So let's see, x to the fifth, x squared, x third, minus 3. So none of these are actually like terms. So this would just be your final answer right here. And that's it for the review. If you have questions, you can email me. And good luck on your test. Make sure you study the content online that I posted in the announcements as well.